Hello everyone, I'm Crypto Noobs. In today's video we're going to be talking about why the dollar, the euro and the yen, why they are all dying. Why they are all completely dying and they are pretty much on their last legs. We've got a lot to get through today's video and it's quite interesting stuff if none of you have heard of any of this stuff before, but it's very interesting in my opinion. If you like anything I bring to you, a like, a subscribe or any feedback always really helps my channel out. With that, let's jump straight into the video. Now, the first thing I want to show you, any of you guys can pull this up, it's very easy, as you can see what I've done. The first thing I want to show you is the value of the dollar over time. So from 1913 to 2018, to present time, it is at a flatline momentum. And why is that? Now, this is because of inflation. Where does this inflation come from? And hopefully I'm going to be answering a few of these questions today. Peter Schiff, he said Jerome Powell just said that there is no limit to how large the Fed balance sheet can grow, and the Fed can inflate the money supply endlessly without ever having to worry about inflation resulting in rising consumer prices. Famous last words by gold and silver. Now, he's a personal gold bug. And then you have the real Kawasaki. Why do I say buy gold, silver and Bitcoin? And because I do not trust the Fed, Treasury or Wall Street. Game over rigged in their favour. Gold, silver and Bitcoin are outside their control. As the Fed prints trillions of fake dollar, gold, silver and Bitcoin becomes harder, stronger and more real. Now, a lot of you may not have even heard of this, a lot of you would have, but my comparison to what I tried to explain to people how this is, if you go back 100 years ago, where our grandparents or even just the olden days 100 years ago, if they had $100, they would have been able to get maybe like a month or 2-3 months worth of shopping for groceries and stuff like that. You go fast forward 100 years to present day now, $100 will barely get you 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It depends how you manage your money, but overall it will dramatically last less, considering how more everything has inflated, etc. And here's a picture here of the US dollar. This is from 2008, so the last crash to present time. As you can see, it's going down, and a 10-year Treasury it's had a little spike there, but again it's going down, and the foreign currency reserves, everything is completely going down. Now, this is because of the Federal Reserve Bank. I'm pretty sure every single country that has a currency, they have a Federal Reserve Bank, and the Federal Reserve Bank is the bank that controls the amount of money that is printed in that system, in that country, sorry. And the banks, for example, from the UK, so we have HSBC, we have NatWest, etc. Barclays as well. With those, they aren't the main banks. They are effectively the banks for the Federal Reserve Bank. So the everyday person like myself and you, we will never ever be able to step foot in a Federal Reserve Bank. I'm pretty sure. I don't think. But we would always go to our local banks, which is always the banks for the banks. Now, this is an article I want to show you from Forbes. This is what China have been saying this since before the coronavirus outbreak happened back in November. China will use its digital currency to compete with the US dollar. Now, this is very big in my opinion. Amid questions and speculation about China's new central bank backed digital currency termed DCEP, one thing remains clear: to the extent that China is working on a digital currency, the main benefits would be to replace fiat cash with a layer of traceable digital cash, ingesting another layer of data into the fearsome data machine that powers both government monitoring and the domestic machine learning industry. Now, what this is, guys, is this is China, aka this is them bringing out their own centralized currency, but it's still going to that digital phase. Bitcoin, etc., they are decentralized, which means they do not have that form of control. But the fact that these countries are realizing that they have to go to this digital stage, then you surely have to think that something's going to happen here. I want to show you. I'm going to leave this article in the description, and I'm also going to leave the video that I next play in the description. So if you want to see any of that, check it out. This is Warren Buffett, the big man. A lot of you, pretty much everyone would have heard of you. If you haven't, he is one of the most respected and most famous investors on the planet. He made a ridiculous amount of money from investing in Coca-Cola and other big companies. This is what he had to say about the financial crash in 2008. I'm going to show you this quickly. It's about a minute. I'm going to leave it in the description because it's a very interesting interview.
You can imagine the American economy as an economic train moving down a track that has no ending. And it picks up cargo and passengers as we go along. There's 330 million of us now, and there were only 4 million in 1790. And our farms are incredibly more productive, and we have 75 million houses, and we had a few huts then, and we have great universities and all of these things. So we're just constantly moving more and more cargo and passengers along, and occasionally that train is going to get derailed. In 2008, you had something close to a bubble in home real estate. 50 million people had mortgages roughly at that time out of 75 million homeowners. When that bubble burst, it hit home to probably 40% of the households in the country, these people that had mortgages on their houses. And fear spread in the month of September 2008 at a rate that was like a tsunami.
Who do you hold responsible for that?
Bubbles are always hard to ascertain the originators of it. There really aren't any originators. Everybody got caught in. Some were foolish, some were crooked, some were both. But you had a mass illusion that it could go on forever. You had Wall Street firms participating, you had mortgage originators participating, but you had the public participating.
Now, I just want to leave that there because this is very, very interesting in my opinion. He said there was almost a bubble. There was definitely a bubble, and what happened was they had to print a stupid amount of money to be able to save the economy in 2008, which then led to where we are now, 12 years later, which is the longest time in history where we haven't had a crash. And now we've had the crash. It's already looking worse than the Great Depression in 1930. It's already looking worse in 2008, and this is just the start of it. So something's got to change very, very quickly because this is the repercussions of what happened in 2008. We have the national debt clock here. It's just going up and up and up and up. If we compare it to 2008, which was the financial crash, it was only at 10 million. So already we've had 15 million in 12 years. 15 trillion printed out of thin air just to keep the economy going. And this is the repercussions of what they're doing. You have now got 40 million Americans unemployed, and you're seeing Nasdaq and all of these other stocks almost at all-time highs, and it's very, very confusing how that is even humanly possible considering we are in a financial crisis as well as basically the Great Depression. How 40 million people can be unemployed just in America alone, and stocks are at an all-time high. It doesn't make any sense. I'm going to talk about what I think is coming in the future and stuff like that. This is my personal opinion, and this is because I'm young. But in my opinion, we are heading in the direction of digitalized world. With China and other currencies, Euro as well, they're looking to go digitalized. Now, in my opinion, if cryptocurrency is there, which it is, they wouldn't have gone digital. And we're heading in that direction very, very clearly. And I think as the days go on, the stronger it gets, the more users it gets, the more people that are being convinced that this is the people's money. Bitcoin that I'm talking about, as well as other cryptocurrencies, they are the people's money because they're not controlled by Federal Reserve banks or banks. They're controlled by the blockchain, which is effectively controlled by the people. And that's the direction that I think we are heading in. Even if it takes 2-3 years, I think you'll see the price reflect on that before anything else. But we're heading in that direction because, in my opinion, we're rather heading in a direction of communism, or we're getting our freedom. And if we head in the direction that China, which they are a communist country, if they decide to make it a centralized currency, and then euro centralized, and the dollar centralized, then that means everyone's letting themselves be tracked effectively. But if you have it decentralized, nobody can be tracked, you're off the radar, which means that you have your freedom. But ladies and gentlemen, I think if you could help me out and share this video, if you take any value from this, it would really help me out, because I don't think this video is going to get out there very well because of what it does talk about. It may even get taken down, I'm not sure. But if you can, would really help me out. If you like the video, share the video, or even leave a comment. It would be really, really appreciated. If you liked anything, thank you very much for watching, guys. I have been Crypto Nobes.